We'll call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Will you please stand for the pledge? Jared, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call a roll, please.
Keith Bratcher.
Here.
Joe Crowell.
Here.
Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Joe Machado.
Here.
Michael Rather.
Here.
Jared Barrett.
Here.
Dane Cantrell.
Present.
We do have a quorum and all voting members are present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have the minutes of the October the 26th meeting. Do we have any changes or additions to that? Also have the November the 9th minutes. Do you have any changes to those? Okay, we'll accept one motion for both of them to be approved.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion they be approved as presented.
I'll second it.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, like sign. They are approved, both dates. We have a number of items before us tonight, and we will ask the staff to give us a report on each item, and then following the report, those of you who have requests before us, we'll ask you to come to the podium, give us your name and any additional information you'd like to share with the board, and there may be some questions. Following that, we'll have a public hearing on each item for the general public to make its comments. And we ask that those remain within a couple of 3 minutes on each presentation. The first item we have is a request by Kenneth Beatty, who is requesting a detached structure, and this is in a R15 zone district. What do you have on that?
Application 2011-67 filed by Kenneth Beatty involves the property located at 3394 McKnight Lane. It's slightly less than an acre and it's zoned residential 15. Mr. Beatty is seeking variance relief to allow an additional 780 square feet of detached accessory structure area in the R15 zone. Currently, he's entitled to 1,200 because his parcel measures less. However, it should be noted that Mr. Beatty owns an additional vacant parcel directly behind his the subject property that measures 1.80 square feet. But Mr. Beatty placed a greenhouse on the property, and I'll show you pictures of the surrounding area, and it measures 900 square feet. He was unaware that we had regulations regarding the size of detached accessory structures, but once he was notified by the Building Codes Department, he came in and filed for variance relief to get zoning approved in order to ultimately pull a building permit for the structure. But this is the existing house, and you will see that there is an existing detached accessory structure that's included in the calculations. However, it was the installation of the greenhouse that caused him to exceed the 1,200 square feet that's permitted for his size parcel and surrounding area, and you can see the adjacent residential home and the greenhouse. This is a close-up of the greenhouse. And this is the greenhouse, and you can see the beginning of the existing detached structure. Well, they're both existing now. And then surrounding area. Based on the nature of the criteria for variance approval, it does not meet that criteria. However, established in the zoning resolution. That completes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please, to the podium, give us your name and any additional information you'd like to share on this.
Hi, I'm Kenneth Beatty, and the reason I built the greenhouse is I retired last year and I enjoy gardening, and I thought a greenhouse would be a good addition to that so I can have a hobby and raise some fresh vegetables in the wintertime. As you can see, it's not an eyesore to anybody. It's well made. My neighbors have signed statements saying that they don't have a problem with it. In fact, Mr. Russell, when he brought me out, or when he stopped by to give me the notification of getting a permit, he inspected it, didn't see any structural problems with it, and so I would like to retain it if possible.
Do we have any questions? Joe?
Is there a reason why you didn't locate the greenhouse back on that, further back in the, on your property?
I understand. No, I just wanted it more convenient. It's more trouble to run water and everything back there.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just wanted to know, had he located it on that property, he would have still been required to come before you, because that would have been a non-residential or non-principal structure on a vacant property.
We understand. Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. We'll have a motion on it. Have a motion that be approved. Do we have a second?
I second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
It is approved. The next item we have is a request by Matthew Vaughn, who is requesting a variance relief, and this is an additional 528 square feet.
Application 2011-68, filed by Matthew Vaughn, involves the property located at 100 Eclipse Drive. It's a .62-acre parcel located in a residential 15 zone. They are seeking variance relief to allow an additional 528 square feet for a detached accessory structure. Excuse me. They are proposing to construct a 24 by 36 square foot garage with bonus room on the second floor. We calculate all floor area for detached accessory structures. There's a 1,200 square foot maximum, and the total of the two floors added together would measure 1,728 square feet. So that exceeds the maximum by 528 square feet, and he is appearing before you to receive variance. We received a couple calls inquiring as to what the variance was for, but no one indicated that they were opposed to the request. And these are photos of the surrounding area. It does not meet the criteria for variance. However, it would still continue to meet the 20% lot coverage should you approve the request. You can see surrounding properties, and we should be coming up on the posted the sign on the property, and this is the existing home, and this is the driveway that will be accessing the detached garage. And it's under construction now because he did get a permit, but he is of the understanding that if his variance is not approved, he could not finish out the second floor as a bonus room. And because it is that second floor that causes the total square footage to exceed the 1,200 square foot limit. And the layout of the property, elevation of the structure, and that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please. Give us your name and any additional information that you might have.
My name is Matthew Vaughn. I'm the homeowner. I built the garage just to be able to have a workshop and would like to be able to use the upstairs maybe for some storage, as well as my wife and I both will work home in the evenings and sometimes do international conference calls. So that just gives us a little bit of a workspace outside of the home where our small children are.
Any questions?
Just a couple of questions, Mr. Vaughn. In your addition here, you want to have, you said like a bonus room, but I see in your plans here you have like a shower, a sink, and a toilet. I just want to make sure that you're not planning on making this like, it's kind of really more than a bonus room. It's almost kind of like an apartment with those things in it. You just want to make sure it's not going to be like an apartment, a rental apartment, or anything like that.
No, sir. The shower's actually, because I do woodworking, having lots of sawdust and stuff all over myself.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it? Have a motion that be approved. Do we have a second?
I second.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Bansara Patel, who is requesting temporary use for fireworks.
Okay, application 2011-69 filed by Bansari Patel. Property located at 5855 Shelbyville Highway. It's a 2-acre site that's zoned retail and wholesale trade zone. And they are seeking temporary conditional use permit for the approval of a temporary fireworks stand in the retail and wholesale trade district. This application requests the same as many other applications that have been approved for this site. The applicant is different. It's now being filed by the property owner. The time limits, the hours of operation, employees will remain the same. That being said, it met the criteria as established in our code. We were recently, in the last 2 weeks, notified of a state law that is in the Tennessee Code that speaks to population. And when a county exceeds 200,000 in population, then fireworks stands, new fireworks stands cannot be approved and established a vesting date within that code. We spoke with the applicant and offered her the option to withdraw her application and get a refund. However, there was some confusion with how the state is applying this statute and what we were advised by our county attorney, because we consulted with him once we were apprised of this law. And so we also contacted the state, the same individual that Ms. Patel spoke with, and they're inconsistent and they do not know exactly. She couldn't explain how they were recognizing the date, and she was describing that they vested the locations as well as the vendor that was selling it, and it was based on their annual renewal process. However, Ms. Gentry at the state indicated, after I sent her a copy of the statutes that we were reading from, that she would forward this to their attorney and that he would get back with us. He has not returned our calls, but he will. I'm assuming he's been busy. And this item has not been resolved about whether or not a fireworks stand can be located at this particular site with the current applicant. However, the board has within its authority to approve, conditioning that all state permits must be received. And our department is recommending that maybe until this matter is resolved, which should be by early next year, that we defer any action until we have more information from the state.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come forward, please.
My name is Bensi, and I'm I'm the owner of the CNE Market, and I'm applying for the conditional use permit for the fireworks. It's been there for 5 years. We're renting for the last 5 years, and next year we want to do it for ourselves, and so we're applying for that request.
Do you have any questions? Joe?
Yeah, if we do approve this, we would approve it with contingencies that you meet all the state and federal in case they change anything. You do understand that?
Yeah. We have three options here that we can turn it down. We can approve it subject to state and federal laws, which may come into play here before, and it may not. We don't know. Or we can defer this until we get further clarification. So I think those are the three options that we have tonight. You do understand what we're talking about, okay?
The population, she's talking about the population because of the population not enough?
Yes, we have just recently had the census. We're over 200,000, which changes the game plan. There was a state law, but we're not sure how they're going to implement it, okay? You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. Close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve if it meets state regulations later on in 2012. Okay.
This is subject to state and federal rules that we may not be able to operate out there anymore. So, and it would be up to our planning office to make sure and find out and notify all the people who would be effective. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain, Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Johnny L. Huddleston, who is requesting a conditional use permit for a Type A mobile home. What do you have on that?
Bear with me, the projector is a bit slow. Application 2011-70 involves the property located at 201 Holly Grove Road. It's a .64 acre parcel and zones residential 15. Mr. Huddleston is requesting a conditional use permit to allow a Type A mobile home not meeting the standards for placement of factory-built housing on a .64 acre parcel located in R15. There was a mobile home that was damaged by fire. The applicant received their permit to move the mobile home on the property and installed the mobile home on the property. Upon final inspection, it was discovered that the masonry curtain wall requirement had not been met, and the applicant was advised that it either needed to be brought into compliance or he needed to apply for a conditional use, for which our zoning resolution requires us to process variance from this criteria as. So the applicant has applied, and we've not received any phone calls regarding this or indicating favor or in opposition. But this is an aerial of the site. This is the mobile home in question. They have vinyl curtain covering, and so it probably doesn't look a lot different, but the surrounding neighbors. Properties. There is a single wide located behind this particular residence, but it's on a different site. Staff recommends approval of the request. And just another shot of the mobile home. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
My name is Johnny Huddleston, and I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I really couldn't hear what was said. I have a hearing problem. But what was at issue is the vinyl skirting at the bottom, and that's the issue as I understand it. I had the skirting put on October the 23rd. And then I had decks put on after that. Then on October the 26th, it failed inspection because of the skirting. And the reason I put the skirting on there is I thought we were in compliance on that. I got the permits on August the 2nd. September the 20th, I purchased the mobile home. And sometime around that period of time, the gentleman that helped me in this transaction, we talked about decks and skirting and so forth, and I asked him if skirting were allowed, and he told me that he did not know, but he would find out. Somewhere in the ballpark of September the 20th, along in there, he called engineering and planning and asked a lady, and she said that she didn't know if skirting was allowed. So eventually, after some phone calls, she called him back and told him that it was in compliance or okay as long as it was not in the city limits. And so based on that information, I put the vinyl skirting on it.
Any questions?
I got a question. Is this a rental trailer or who lives in it?
Pardon?
Do you rent this trailer out?
Do I rent it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. The second house you showed in that picture, that gentleman's daughter was renting. And let me explain this too. I was told that I could not rent it until the situation was straightened out. Mark Russell, the inspector, I had a conversation with him because I was a little bit confused as to what the issue was until I had talked to him. I thought at one time they were saying the underpinnings were not right, but he assured me that it was the skirting was an issue. And I was wanting to get the electricity turned on, and he said, but I had to pay, I think, $175, and I'd get the electricity turned on. And he said, but I was told no one could move in until it was straightened out. And he said, well, let me talk to, I think his name was David Jones, who's in code, said, let me talk to him. There's no safety issue here. I'll talk to him and see if you can get, if someone can go ahead and move in after the electricity is turned on. So he talked to, I believe his name is David Jones. I called him back the very next day. That would have been around October 27th or 28th, and said that was okay, because I told him that at the time I was going to appeal it based on the information that I was given, that I would appeal it.
Sir, I have another question. Is this trailer anchored? Is it anchored? Is this trailer anchored? Has it been through an inspection electrically?
Everything has been approved except that.
Except that.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, he understands.
That was the only issue.
Gary?
I just needed to ask one question. Is there any reason it can't be done now?
I would have to take down the decks, the stairs, and then of course tear down the skirting that's on there. Now let me say this. I say that unless it could be not put where the decks are, the decks and the porches are.
Keith?
Because I had to have that done before I put the decks.
We understand.
Decks.
Keith?
Yeah, just for clarification. So this, for our staff, the trailer was put here after due to a fire, and then so the only thing is, the problem or the question here is, instead of him having like a brick masonry type foundation, he's got vinyl. That's what he already
You're
has.
correct.
Okay.
I understand.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. That's okay. You may be seated.
Thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion be approved.
We have a motion to be approved. Do we have
Mr.
a
Chairman, I second the motion.
second to motion? Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
No.
Michael Rather, Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Carry, sir.
Okay, it is approved. The next item we have is a request by Stephanie Bowers, who is requesting a conditional use permit to establish the aquarium training facility. What do you have on that?
Application 2011-71, filed by Stephanie Bowers, involves the property located at 7529 Kingsville Pike. It's a 231-acre parcel, zoned residential 15. She is seeking conditional use approval to establish an equestrian training facility with horse boarding services in the district, as well as conduct horse sales from the property. The property's a large 231-acre tract comprised of agricultural buildings, residents, and open areas. The applicant has applied. According to the applicant, this business has been in place for several years and has operated without absolutely no complaints from anyone. We received a complaint in the day, very shortly after she was notified. She applied for the conditional use approval, and I will show you pictures of the property. See how she plans to, or how the existing facility is laid out. We did receive a phone call. Someone indicated that they were in favor of the request, and some calls just inquiring as to what was what the sign was for. Surrounding areas. We have a layout. Staff recommends approval, finding that it met the criteria for conditional use approval. And I'm just trying to get through these pictures to show you a layout of the property, and that will conclude. As you can see, it's rural, large farm tracts, a few home sites, and we should be getting to the aerial with the layout shortly. There we go. So you can see that the property along Kingsville Pike is used to access and provides parking to the facility located on the larger tract. That includes the stalls, the ring, more stalls, a round pen, and a turnout area. And that concludes our presentation.
What was the size of this farm again? What'd you say?
It's a 231-acre farm.
Okay. Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
Bowers. I just wanted to let you know that we've been here for 9.5 years and everything has gone very well. I do carry full insurance on the business, and I do have the support of all the neighbors on my street and the owner of the property.
How far out to Kingsville Pike are you located? You know, once you turn off from the main highway.
We're about the 8th house.
Pardon me?
We're about the 8th house.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request.
Pardon me, Mike Vaught. I live at 6594 Browns Mill Road, Las Casas. Longtime neighbor of the Bowers. They've been there 45 years, I guess. Bobby has. Would like to point out there are 2 other boarding facilities on Kingsville Pike. I don't see that this generates any more traffic than they do, and I would hope you consider approving it.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing if we have a motion on it.
I'll make a motion be approved.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Call the roll, please.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carried, Mr.
Is
Chairman.
approved. The next item we have is a request for a conditional use permit, and this would be a major home base business, electrical contracting. This is on the Halls Hill Pike. This is the old Taylor farm out on the Halls Hill Pike. That's about 4 or 5 miles out.
Application 2011-72, filed by Benjamin Martell, involves the property located at 6339 Halls Hill Pike. It's a 4.24-acre parcel located in the R15 zone. They are seeking conditional use of permit approval to establish a major home-based business involving electrical services. They will have used 2 offices on the property that's located in the residence for accounting and estimating functions. They will have 2 non-resident employees that will work on the site between the hours established, and we've laid that out for you in the staff report. The applicant's sign plans do exceed what's established for major home-based businesses, so they will have to reduce the size of the sign to become in compliance. However, that would be a condition, a recommended condition that we've included. We did receive one phone call. An adjacent property owner had concerns about the general appearance of the site, that there were boxes on the front porch that looked like they had been receiving deliveries. You can see multiple trailers on the site as well as a dumpster. And they were just they indicated that it just didn't look residential in nature, especially the dumpster that's located on the property. And the board has the authority to include conditions regarding outdoor storage. The purpose of major home-based businesses is to allow someone to operate out of their home, provided that it doesn't take on the appearance of a commercial business. And outdoor storage is regulated. However, you can include additional specific requirements to ensure that that criteria is always met. And you can see the area, adjacent properties, and we recommend approval, provided that they meet the recommended conditions continually. And we posted the sign on the property, and that concludes our presentation.
Do we have any? Yes.
I got a question for Danielle. If it's an operating agricultural farm like this, the outside storage that we would regulate for his electrical contracting has nothing to do with the outside storage of farm equipment and such like that. Am I correct?
I'm of the understanding that it's no longer operating as a farm, that it was originally a larger farm tract that was operating as a farm. This is a 4.24 acre parcel that would not necessarily meet our definition of farm in the zoning resolution, which requires a 5 acre minimum.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
My name is Ben Martell. I run the electrical company at the house there. 2 things I want to mention is the complaint about the boxes. Normally we don't get deliveries at the house. There was a mistake with the shipping, so they sat on my front porch for a couple weeks until I went to the job site. Again, that's not normal. And the 2 trailers you saw on the property are usually around the side by the barn. We're having a mud issue, so we had just moved them while we're trying to fix the land on that side. Other than that, I say it's a 6-person company, 6 employees. We have 2 trucks on site on average, not average, but permanently. The other ones, the guys take home with them. They may show up here and there, but at night they go home with them. And so we've been there about 3 years. Haven't had any problems with the neighbors, to my knowledge. The Blankenship's next door to me, and he's a great guy. We talk all the time. And that's about it.
Does anyone live in the house?
I do.
You live there, okay. And exactly what is your operation like there? Is this where you meet, or do you have things stored?
If you saw the garage that was next door to it, all our material, like extra material, whatnot, is kept inside that garage. So occasionally the employees will go there, obviously, to pick up material and then go to the job site. But other than that, the house, when you first walk in the foyer, I have a little office set up with my secretary, and then there was an old living room on the right-hand side where my estimator works.
Is there any way that you could park those trailers maybe away from the
Yes,
front?
like I said, they're usually behind, back where, you can't really see it. You see you can't really see it. There's a big barn on the left-hand side, usually
Yeah.
back there in that corner.
Do you have access to that barn?
Yes, yeah, it's part of, not that barn, but that's the fence line, the property line. So
Uh-huh.
they're usually on this side of it. We just have a lot of trouble with the mud.
Okay.
So I've been trying to fill that
So
in a
all
bit.
you own is really is the building and the front part, the lot, the front part. Somebody else owns the back part of the old farm?
Yes, the backtrack, I'm not sure whose name is, but yes, all that land behind me is somebody else.
Okay. Joe?
Would you mind if we approve this tonight, if you would build a screen such as a vinyl fence that the trailers would not be exposed, dumpster trailers?
That'd be fine, yes, yeah.
Would you mind doing that?
Yeah,
And
I can-
also, the packages you have on the front porch all the time, could you?
No,
take-
they're not all the time, they're gone. That was a mistake by the, we
Would
ordered
you-
stuff, supposed to go to a job site. Those showed up at my house.
Could those boxes be dumped, say, in the barn over there?
Yes, they're gone already. There were
To
light
the porch.
fixtures for a job site that are already moved to the job site.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve if he builds some sort of screen that you cannot see the trailers from the road or the boxes on the porch and meets no outside storage at all.
Okay. Did you get that? Okay. He said that he would be glad to do that.
But he's got to build a screen. I'm recommending he build some sort of screen that the trailers and trucks all be behind it.
I think what the board is
And the
concerned
dumpster
about,
also has got to be behind it.
make sure that, you know, the front of the property looks appropriate. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Kroll,
Yes.
Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Sartain, Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Is approved. The next item we have is Cherokee May Waltz, who is requesting a conditional use permit to allow establishment of a major home business, a hair salon. What do you have on that?
Okay, application 2011-73, filed by Charity May Waltz. Involves a property located at 5123 Colonial Circle, and it's a .85 acre parcel located in the residential 15 zone. She is seeking conditional use permit approval to allow the establishment of a major home-based business involving a hair salon. And you will see the proposed hours of operation in the staff report. She plans to see people by appointment only, and provided that she continually meets the conditions for a major home-based business, staff finds that she meets the criteria for conditional use permit approval and recommends approval. And so we have an aerial here, and Ms. Waltz is located adjacent to the town of Smyrna limits. As you can see, she's a large corner property. She's going to use an existing structure on her property and bring it up to codes, and that will be the structure that she places the chair for her clients. This is the existing house. We posted the sign on the property. We did receive a phone call from a surrounding property owner and stating that they were in favor or supported her request. And as I scroll through the pictures, we posted the sign if I didn't already say that. Okay.
Do we have someone here representing this request?
Hair salon so I can stay home and be with the family and bring in extra income.
Have you operated a hair salon before?
I have managed Fantastic Sam's. I've been doing hair since 1998.
But this is the first time at this site that you're starting. Okay. Do you cut hair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you give us a sample?
Sure. You got scissors? All free haircuts.
Just kidding.
Okay.
We have any questions? Keith?
Yes. Your hours of operation. What are your hours of operation going to be? Your hours of operation, what are they?
From 9 to 1, then from 1 to 3, I'm going to be closed so I can get my children, and then it's going to be 3 to 7.
When this will be Monday through Saturday?
Monday through Friday. Saturday's 9 to 2.
Saturday's 92.
And
And you're just going to have one chair in there, would be yourself. So you'd have just one client come, they leave, another one come, so there'll not be a lot of...
Where I will only have one vehicle there, so
Okay.
they can so I don't have a bunch of people in there. I do have 3 children too, so I don't want a bunch of people there at one time.
Okay. That's all I know.
Is there room in your driveway for a turnaround to turn around so they don't have to back out on the highway? Okay.
Either which way that they park.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
I'll make a motion to be approved.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Keith that made the motion.
Keith made the motion. Joe Crowell, second.
Keith Bratcher,
Yes.
Joe Crowell,
Yes.
Joe Michotto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Dane Cantrell.
Yes.
Motion carries, sir.
Is approved. Do we have anything else?
No, sir.
And I think next month you'll be looking at the election of a new chair. So that'll be coming up for, we do that for 2 years. So, and alternates, you will be allowed to vote on that, provided you vote for me. No. Kidding. Maybe. Thank you, everybody. We're down to just 2 people here, so thank you. I hope you've all had a good evening, and Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. We are adjourned.